Hello, welcome to the video, and it is a proper cold, wintry morning here in January in Suffolk. So yeah, just look at it behind me. It is so cool. Frost and mist. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things to wake you up in the morning when you get out with the dog. Slightly more difficult trying to get out of bed when it's so cold, so that's the only issue. So yeah, this week at the moment I'm just topping up my candles. So I've been making lots of woodwick candles in my old jar, so I've just been topping them up. I've also had a few problems with like sticking some of the wicks down, so we'll go through that later. And just trying to have a catch up. I'm still waiting for my candle tins to arrive, so they're not quite here yet. So I'm just trying to do whatever I can in the meantime, just to have some form of momentum and just to keep a bit of money coming in and to at least look like I'm active. Hello. It is a cold one. It's taken me a while to get going this morning. As you can see from the footage, when I was walking the dog, it is proper cold. And I've just been living in this jumper. It's the coziest jumper I've got, and it's one I don't mind getting too messy. It's a little bit old now. So today, the agenda is pretty big, but I've so far procrastinated the first couple of hours of the morning, just sitting around being cold and trying to get myself to go. The issue is this old building here. It's old and not very well insulated, so it's pretty chilly. Anyway, so I've got loads of candles I want to top up, get going. So with this wax I've got, it does shrink a bit, so I just put a little top up and it sort of goes around the edges, so it doesn't take too long. It's nowhere near like the other wax I've got where I've got to do a proper top up. So I filled those ones up 75% and then I do another top up. This one's just like a tiny token, so it doesn't really bother me. And then I've had a bit of an issue with the gasket silicone. So with all my wicks, I use gasket silicone to set it. I set a load behind me and the wicks just seem to not set. So with a bit of Googling, I realised gasket silicone can either go out of date or can just be naff from time to time. Either that or it's humidity. I also read that it needs humidity for it to set and solidify properly. So I don't know, either that or I wick them and try and pour my candles too quickly. So I wicked these ones yesterday, so it's been a good 24 hours now and they seem to be pretty set. But I've also used a different tube of gasket silicone and I'm going to leave the other one behind. Because sometimes when I use it, it sort of sets. This one hasn't really set at all, even in the tube. So sometimes I have to like stab holes in the side of the tube to get it to work. But anyway, that's one problem we haven't encountered, but we have fixed. And so far with all my testing with these wood wicks in these jars and the wax, I think they're like probably the best candle I've ever made so far. Like they're almost perfect. It's got everything covered. Like the scent rate's really good. The burn rate's really good the last for ages. They don't get too hot. They don't burn out. They have a nice crackle from time to time. They look really cool in the jars with the artwork. I think it's just hit every point that I wanted to do with my candles. And as I said in the previous video, it's kind of gone full circle now. So it's good. It's a bit annoying, but at least it's January and I've got time to crack on with it. So I'm going to go full steam ahead, make as many of these as I can, get them listed on Amazon, get them listed on my website, do a little mail shot and wait for my tins to arrive. Once they arrive, I'll keep plodding along with them and see where they go. But if these start being more popular and making more money, then I'll maybe switch once again. But I know I can charge more for these than I can for the tin, so that's kind of where we're at. And then I need to do a load of photography today, get everything photographed so I can get it on the website and on Amazon. And then I've got professional photos booked for the end of the month, so I need to work out which ones I want to get professionally photographed. I'm only going to do 10 and then I'll get them sent away, and that'll be a nice amount of content. Because what I need to start doing is posting on Instagram again and using my mailing list on my website and actually utilizing these things properly. Because at the moment it feels like I'm just stagnant. I'm not really doing anything. So I need to get the ball rolling on a lot. But you can sort of almost hear how cold it is. You can hear the wax just popping a bit. It's absolutely freezing in this room. Might as well be outside. But we've got all the candles down here. They're all looking real good. So we're going to chop all those wicks, get them all labelled. Then we're going to get all of these ones poured. And that'll be about 150 candles, give or take, in glass jars. That'll be ready to go. So I'm going to get well ahead on this before I launch. Whereas normally I just do enough to start and then I'm catching up with it. So Going to try and get well ahead. Well ahead, he says anyway. That's sort of the plan. And then I've got some bakery scents that are going to be coming out, as that's quite popular at the moment. I'm not going to copy anyone else's stuff. I'm going to do my own things. But I don't want to show anyone yet, just in case people rip me off and take my ideas, which I've seen before with other people's candle pages and stuff. So I'm sure inevitably someone will copy me, but if I can get a good head start on it, then at least that puts me ahead with everything else. So yeah, some cool, quirky ones I'm going to be doing, which I've not seen anywhere else, but it hits that kind of vibe and that kind of, I don't know, popular keyword kind of stuff. And then also on the agenda in the sort of next week or so is just trying to get some video adverts put together so I can start promoting on Instagram and Facebook, because as much as Amazon is great, the fees are just a lot of money. And there's always new fees being added. There's like a digital tax now, which I don't even know what the fuck that's for. That's costing me an extra £100 a month. It's like, it's pence per candle, but because I sold like 600 candles last month, it ended up being about £100. But £100 worth of what? I think a lot of these taxes the government impose on companies, and the people at Amazon just pass them on to the sellers. So it's fairly bullshit in my mind. So if I can sell more through my website, that'd be great. So if I can maybe do a 50-50 balance of just having Amazon on autopilot making some money, that's an easy churn. And then another 50% on my website where it's a bit more hard work because I've got to post it, but I'm making more money per order because there are less fees. So, and then eventually, maybe at some point, I can just transition and get rid of Amazon and do it all solely through my website. But it takes time building up that traffic. And I think sometimes as well, when I get orders from Amazon, they might go to my website because it's a little bit cheaper on my website as well. So it's time. It just takes time. I think I was watching a video earlier where you kind of start like this. You got loads of momentum. You got loads of like ideas and everything's really great. Then you're like, oh, actually, this is a bit harder. And then you end up in a bit of a dip. And then a lot of people give up in the dip. But if you keep pushing through, then everything just kind of gets exponential and it kind of goes up like that. So I think a lot of people give up before they hit the success. And then there's a lot of like imposter syndrome and trying to work out what you're doing. And then you dip a bit and then boom. So it's just riding through that, because I've had a lot of success last year. It still doesn't feel quite where I want to be, and I don't think it ever will, but it's getting there. So I think I'm sort of still in that dip phase. I'm still doing very well. Like me of 4 years ago would be ecstatic to see where I am now, but it's still just grinding and getting through that. But I think with these jars and these wood wicks, it's going to increase the amount of profit I make per candle, as well as a few other ideas I've got coming up. So it's going well. The motivation and the positivity is much better. I've been exercising, I've been eating decent for the last 6 days, so feeling good. Let's trim some wicks. Get quite a good, satisfying although I don't know if this is the best wick trimmer I've got here. Might need to invest in a better one, which is a bit sharper. See, it's kind of wrecked that one a bit. See, it's kind of chipped it. So it's a bit annoying. But maybe it's just the nature of wood wicks. And then once I've sort of trimmed the wicks, I feel like I just need to go over them with a heat gun, because it does sort of mash up the tops a bit. You can see that's had a bit of a disaster. And then that'll smooth out perfectly, and then we'll have a lovely looking candle. So It's a bit of a process, a bit of a labour of love, but they do come out really nice once I've hit them with a gun. So here's the thing, this is what I'm thinking about at the moment. My jars going forwards, like I've sort of fallen in love with them again. Being able to do this, and they've made probably the best candle I've ever made, with the wood wicks, with the wax, with everything, like I keep talking about. And I think with the tins, they've done a really good job and they've served a good purpose. And I think I will continue doing them. But I think there's a ceiling in terms of how much I can charge for a candle tin, because they look small. So it's 250 grams of wax in each candle tin, which is a decent amount of wax. But if you got 250 grams of wax in a jar, it's already going to look more. So if you think like how thick that is around there compared to like obviously a tin, I mean this is a massive tin, but you get the point. And I just think the perceived value of a rustic glass jar with a nice lid and a label and all that, I think I'm gonna get away with charging more than I can with the tin. So the tins on Amazon are $16.99 at the moment. And I think that's kind of the ceiling for that price. I think I can't charge much more than it. And I think they are worth it. I think they are worth more, especially in terms of how much it cost me to make. But I just think there's only so much people are willing to pay. And they last a long time. They're really good. It's one of the best candles I've ever made. But going forwards, I need to try and work out how to work smarter and not harder. And it feels like the last 6 months I've been working very hard and maybe not as smart as I could be. But it's part and parcel of this whole thing. It's the learning process. It's just the doing. But it's taught me a lot along the way. One of my goals was to try and make 800 candle tins a month and try and scale that way. And I think that's fine if I haven't got a full-time job. If I'm doing this candle making full-time, I think I could do that. that'd be fine. I'd just take a couple of days, I'd make that many candles, and I'd do a few different things as well. But I think realistically at the moment, especially going forwards with my impending challenges, is what we'll call them, then dedicating that much time to making candle tins is going to be a push. Whereas I'm pretty confident I can make 400 of these candle jars a month, sell less, but for more profit. And if I can get £10 profit from each one, if I sell 400 of them, that's going to be the best part of £4,000. Now, I don't think I'll make that much from Amazon. It might be more like £7 to £8 a jar, but it's much better than £5. And it's more or less the same process for all of it. I've still got to do the wax maybe twice. It all takes about the same amount of time. So why wouldn't I sell one for more and not the other one, if that makes any sense? So that's kind of where I'm leaning to at the moment. So we'll get these going, we'll get them all listed, we'll get them tested. It's just a bit of a inside of my brain, and maybe me speaking out loud. Speaking out loud helps me work out where I'm going to go with my little candle business. And the jars have served me very well in the beginning. So it is just that circling moment. It feels like I'm repeating myself as well through these videos. I don't think I am, but I think it's just as my thought process progresses, it becomes clearer. So, I mean, I've still got 1,000 tins coming from China at some point, so I will have to do something with them. But I think I might just stick to like 5 cents in the tins and then expand with this. But the whole of my brand is storytelling, nostalgia, memories. We're going to have some bakery ones mixed in there because I think that'll hit that vibe. I'm kind of trying to hit that kind of cozy vibe. That's where we're going with this. Sort of cozy, nostalgic, just different candles you can't really buy anywhere else. Just something a bit quirky. And I think that is what's working for me. I don't want to try and do too many different things. I still want to be in that bookish kind of vibe. But I think people that have been buying my old bookshop scent and coffee and books, they'll be interested in bakery scents as well. So I think it's all going in the right direction. So this is just a bit of a mind dump whilst I'm waiting for the wax melter to heat up. It's still fucking freezing in here. It's a super fresh afternoon. Nice little dog walk. Lovely scenery. Really nice when it's proper frosty and crunchy and you get the sun. And as I mentioned, I've been eating healthier and I've been working out this week and I feel a lot better. I think on Tuesday I must have had a bit of a midlife crisis kind of thing, and signed up for a half marathon on Sunday, despite not really having done much training. So I've been doing a bit of running this week, and I have felt heavy, much like a stuffed potato. But I think that's what happens over Christmas when I get busy. Just sort of, happens. So what I'm trying to get back to this year is just trying to get into the fittest, sort of healthiest I've ever been. That works so well with my mindset, just being in good shape. Whereas I think I was trying to sacrifice a bit of health and fitness to grow my candle business. I was like, right, I've already got time to exercise during November and December because it's busy and I'm selling candles, so I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to eat that healthy because I've got shit to do. But I inevitably end up getting a little bit depressed, a little bit sluggish, and just in a bit of a slump. That way I'm not even as productive as I think I'm going to be because I'm just feeling a bit crap. Whereas if I do exercise and I do these things, I'm more inclined to do more because I'm sleeping better, I've got more energy, and all of those things go hand in hand. So it's one of those things you see a lot of people talk about. They're like, oh, grinding, like hustle culture, 16 hours a day, I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping, like all this kind of stuff. And I can do it for a little bit, but it does catch up with me, and you can't sacrifice your health, I don't think. That's kind of what I've come to realise. Because if I'm not feeling healthy and I feel like shit, then I'm a bit grumpy and I'm a bit of a twat. And it's hard for me to break out of that sometimes. Like I can see myself like just being a bit grumpy and a bit short with people, but it's hard to break out of that. I think just exercising and doing stuff like that does do that, especially in the morning, because it means I've done maybe the hardest thing I'm going to do that day. So the bullshit of the world can't affect me because it's like water off a duck's back. I've sort of done something decent in the morning that's protected me for the day. It's got some endorphins up, it's kick-started the day, it's created some momentum, Then I'm pretty chill for the rest of the day, where sometimes I get a bit grumpy and a bit like worried about all the things that are going to happen, like all the problems that may or may not happen, and start going all these, you know what I mean. Whereas my mindset is better. So there we are, half marathon tomorrow. I'll get a bit of footage in that, of me doing that tomorrow. No real aims or times. I did one recently in September with a goal of getting it below 2 hours. I think I did 1 hour 58. It's pretty good for me because I'm quite heavy. At the moment I'm set at 96.5 kilos. Last year I got down to 86 kilos, was it the year before? I did like a big diet with coaching and some weightlifting, and ended in a photo shoot, and it's the best I've ever felt. But it's just maintaining that, so yeah. Right, it is half marathon day. It is very cold. I'm quite excited because the weather's like really unique. It's like super icy and sunny. It's like a magical winter wonderland. Providing I don't completely kill myself. But anyway, I'll get some footage whilst I'm running. And it begins. That's 11k done. Just about an hour and 4 minutes. So potentially sub 2 hour half marathon, but we will see. Half marathon complete. Very cold, very achy. 2 hours and 5 minutes, so not bad considering the lack of training. I'm trying to wrap up this vlog because we've done a lot of different things. So it's been a couple of days since my run and I'm very pleased with how I did. I haven't really done any training for it. I just felt a bit potatoey and I thought, right, I need a challenge, I need to do something. So within a week's notice, I signed up for a half marathon on possibly the coldest day in the last 365 days. But it was a lovely morning. It was scenic. It was just icy. It was so cool. And it was so cold. My heart rate was like 20 beats below normal on my like running. So it's interesting. It's a good run. I did it in 2 hours and 5 minutes, which is really good. My initial goal was to do 2 hours and 30 minutes, I'll sub below that. But as I was driving there, my own competitive nature with myself was like, you can do it under 2 hours. Don't be a wimp. You've done this before. Why can't you do it again? Sure, you might be a bit heavier, might be full of a few extra sweet treats from Christmas, but you can do it under 2 hours. So I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna try my best. And 2 hours, 5 minutes or something like that. I'll post a Strava thing up here so you can see. So yeah, super pleased with how that went. But that kind of put all of my plans to rest on Sunday. My plan was to get back, make a load of candles and finish all that stuff. But I ended up having a bath and just eating a load of food. And then yesterday was a really busy day at work. There's a lot to make. So that compounded all the delayed onset muscle soreness. So today I'm a bit tired. I haven't really done a lot today. I've got a big list of things I need to do. I need to do all the CLP labels for the bottoms. I need to print all the labels to sort of do the outside of the candles. I need to do my twines. I need to do box labels. I need to package them. I want to get them all listed. So I want to get all that stuff done, get these candles listed and ready so they're on Amazon, get them on my website so I can start selling and make some money because my tin's still aren't here yet. Whew, that's a lot of words, deep breath. And then I'm still testing my candles, my wood wicks, but I'm really happy with them. The melt pools are pretty good. They do burn quite hot in the beginning, which is fine because that means you get a good scent through it. But as they go down, they do sort of slowly lose a bit of heat and a bit of like potency, which is fine because sometimes when candles get down the bottom, they can overheat, they get too hot. There's more chance of explosions and breakages and all things nasty. So I'm happy with them. I'm still testing different scents just to make sure they're good enough and safe enough to sell. But so far, fingers crossed, they may be the best candles I've ever done. So with that in mind, it's led me to have a little think because I've been watching a few videos recently about people crossing the VAT thresholds, and it's something I've been thinking about for a while. And my initial plan was to do as much as possible and hit the £200,000 revenue, my goal I'd made in a previous video. But I wonder whether I'm going to have to backtrack from that and be a bit realistic. So, 2 reasons. 1, I'm having a baby soon. How much can I realistically do? So my initial goal on my whiteboard over there was to do 800 candles a month. And that was just based in the tins before I'd even started doing these. That's a lot of candles. That's a lot of work for one man who's got a full-time job and a new child. So I'm trying to think, how can I work smarter and not harder? Now, my plan is to sell these candles, these ones here, the jars, for £20, Then I'll make about £10 profit from that for my website, and maybe more like £8 profit from Amazon. And the more time I look at these, the more time I spend with them, and just the general aesthetics and how they operate, I'm much happier with it as a product compared to my tins. I think I can charge more for a glass jar, all this kind of stuff. So I think overall it's a better product, sort of come full circle. But then the second reason is the VAT threshold. So at the moment I'm doing quite well with profit and everything, and as soon as I hit that, that's going to take 20% from the total revenue. So in England, when you do your tax return and everything, that's taxed on your profits. This is taxed on your overall sales before you've even taken anything, before you even paid for advertising, before you've paid for anything. It's all just taken from the top end. So if I sell a candle on Amazon for 20 quid, they're going to take 20% of that. So that's a lot of money from just straight away. So I sort of did some very crude maths, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but if I sold double the amount of candles, I'm not going to be much better off than I am at the minute selling the same amount of candles. I may make an extra £10,000 a year, but for twice the amount of work, is it really worth it? And these are very shit maths, and maths is not my forte, so it's led me to think, this year, am I better off just focusing on getting all of my branding perfect, my message perfect, my deliverables perfect, my systems perfect, making it streamlined and easy as possible, making it fun. It needs to be fun, because I'm not going to do it if it's not fun. If it feels like a job and it feels like a chore, I'm just not going to do it. And sometimes during the previous 3 months, it's felt like a job. It's felt tedious because I'm doing all of it, I'm packaging all of it. There's external pressure I've put on myself to try and get everything done. So, do I want to put myself through that? Will I be better off just making 350 of these, which would, at £20 profit, take me to £84,000 revenue a year? And that's still a lot of money. I might not be able to do that. Like, I'm basing this on what I've done so far, and I'm almost 99% sure I can sell that many. 350 isn't a lot to me. I sold almost over 1,000 candles in November, so I know it's possible. And then just make it super simple, make it super easy. Say under that VAT threshold this year, register as a limited company, and then that resets the sort of VAT threshold, so I can get very close to it, and then have a little think. Then I can decide whether I want to pursue it and do all that stuff, because I need to become a limited company anyway, because for tax reasons I'll be better off doing it as a self-assessment whilst I've got a full-time job. And I'm going to start crossing different tax barriers, so I'm going to start paying a lot more money, so I need to be clever with what I'm doing. So it's led me to think a lot at the moment, and because I'm sort of stuck in limbo, because I haven't got my tins and I'm doing a few other bits, it's just giving me time to think, and it's actually quite nice not having the pressure of just burning myself out trying to get as much done as possible. So those are kind of my thoughts at the minute. Work smarter, not harder. Make everything just simple. Work on other revenue streams. So I'm going to basically backtrack and go on against everything I've said, because my whole plan was to do one thing and do it really well. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this candle brand and get it all sorted and get it done really well. And then I think I'm going to work on some other things, some other digital incomes, build up multiple streams of revenue. So my other plan was to do Amazon KDP and write some books. So I'm going to write some books on how I've created my candle brand, how to make candles, all that stuff. Everything I've learned about candle making and everything I've done through the last 4 years, I'm going to condense into books and sell them on Amazon. I'm going to do other things as well. I'm going to spend more time doing these YouTube videos and build this up. So there's lots of things I want to do to build up additional revenue streams. It's just how far do I want to push this in the UK? And that's the problem. The UK, I think, is the problem. Like, it's so difficult for businesses and entrepreneurs and people to push that there's no incentive to actually, and I've talked about this on other videos, it doesn't feel like there's any incentive for you to actually do well. Like, you get penalised at every aspect. So you get taxed 20% of your profits. You sell over 90%, £90,000 worth of stuff, whether it's services, whether it's stuff in the restaurant, whether it's physical products, you have to pay 20% on that. So That's 40% of your stuff before you've even taken home anything. And then you've got advertising, your cost of goods, you've got all the other things involved in that. Then obviously everything in the UK is well expensive, got the highest electric costs in like the Western world. But there's so many things here that make it difficult to be an entrepreneur and like succeed. So it's just hard, I think. And I'm not knocking anything, I'm far better off than a lot of people. Like, there's people struggling in the world and cold and hungry, and I'm doing considerably alright considering. But all of those things in mind doesn't stop me wanting more and wanting me to better myself and learn new skills and apply those to myself and see where I can go with it. So that's kind of where we are at the minute. A bit of time to think and to organise everything, because my initial plan was just to go balls to the wall, cane everything, and then in a year's time try and make this my full-time job. So I also need to be realistic with everything going forward, so have a little think. I've also come to the realisation of there's no need to sprint towards the end. I'm 36, I'll be 37 in July. Really, my ideal goal is to be self-employed by 40. So that gives me 3.5 years, which is plenty of time. There's no rush for anything. There's no rush to do these things. I don't know why I create so much pressure on myself to get everything done immediately. So for instance, I could get the candle brand up and like going really well this year. That could make me £84,000 revenue. And that could be the best part of 30-40 grand of profit from that. And then I could spend next year doing something else and building it up. I could build up multiple pieces along the way, do one thing very well at a time, and then do it. So those are my things. If anyone has any thoughts, leave them down below. I always like listening to people's ideas and what people have to say. I reply to all of them, unless you're asking me what my wax is or what my wicks are, or very specific questions. I don't mind helping people out, but I've spent so much money and so much time on all of these things that sometimes people just come in straight away and ask exactly what I'm using without doing any research or testing. Most of the time I'm pretty happy and I'm pretty helpful, but I'm getting quite a lot of comments now where people are like, what's in here? What's this? What's this? Without even trying to get to know me or spend any time with me, which is fine. Like, it is what it is. When you put yourself out here, people are gonna try their luck. So there we are. Anyway, I'll leave it there. That is everything for this vlog. It's been a long one. It's been a journey. We've been to different places. We've done different things. So thank you for staying with me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.